Apple and Samsung have always competed head-to-head, but this year things feel a little different. Apple's iPhone 17 series comes with the new A19 Pro chip, which is extremely powerful. But now, Samsung's upcoming Exynos 2600 is showing benchmark results that suggest it might actually outperform Apple in some key areas. That's something we haven't seen in a long time. The A19 Pro chip is used in the iPhone 17 Pro, Pro Max, and also the iPhone Air in Geekbench 6 tests. It scored around 3,781 points in single-core performance and 9,679 in multi-core. Apple still dominates in single-core performance, which is why iPhones feel so fast and smooth for everyday tasks like browsing, social media, and light apps. But when it comes to multi-core performance, which matters for heavy workloads like gaming, video editing, and multitasking, Apple no longer has the clear lead. That's where Samsung's Exynos 2600 comes in. Early tests show it scoring about 3,309 points in single-core and 11,256 in multi-core. This means it's about 15% slower than Apple's chip in single-core, but 15.5% faster in multi-core. For people who use their phones for big tasks, that's a big advantage. It means Samsung could finally take the performance crown in certain real-world scenarios, and it's not just Samsung. Qualcomm is also stepping up with its Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2, even in early tests. It managed 3,393 points in single-core and 11,575 in multi-core, and that wasn't even at full speed. The chip was running at 4 GHz, but it can go up to 4.7 GHz, which means the final numbers could be even higher. That puts Qualcomm in an even stronger position against Apple. So, what does all this mean? For years, Apple has been known for having the fastest chips in smartphones, especially thanks to single-core performance. But now, Samsung and Qualcomm are catching up and even moving ahead in multi-core and graphics performance. This is important because Apple's chips haven't always been the strongest when it comes to GPUs. That gives its rivals another chance to compete directly. The Exynos 2600 will power Samsung's Galaxy S26 Pro and S26 Edge in many regions like South Korea, Europe, Southeast Asia, and Africa. In other places like the US and China, Samsung will likely use the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 instead. So depending on where you live, your Galaxy S26 might come with either one of these powerful chips, and both could end up stronger than Apple's A19 Pro in areas that matter most for demanding users. This could change the way people look at performance. For a long time, iPhone owners could say their devices were the fastest and smoothest. Apple's single-core advantage and great efficiency gave them bragging rights. But now, with Samsung and Qualcomm proving their chips are better at multi-core tasks, Android phones could finally have the upper hand in heavy-duty performance. And for users who edit videos, play advanced games, or use their phones for work, that really matters. Of course, benchmarks aren't everything. Apple still has iOS, which is perfectly optimized for its hardware. That's why even when Android phones have similar or better benchmark numbers, iPhones often feel faster in everyday use. Apple's software and ecosystem remain unmatched in smoothness and efficiency. But if raw power is what you care about, then Samsung and Qualcomm are giving Apple some real competition. This shows how quickly the performance gap is closing. For years, Apple was untouchable, but now the tables are turning. The Galaxy S26 lineup, with either Exynos 2600 or Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2, could be some of the most powerful smartphones we've ever seen, possibly even outshining Apple's newest iPhones in certain categories. At the end of the day, the battle between Apple and Samsung is heating up again. Apple still leads in single-core and software optimization, but Samsung and Qualcomm are proving that Android phones can finally match or even beat iPhones in multi-core and graphics. The next round of flagship phones is going to make this rivalry more exciting than ever.